Hey y'all, it's me Alex. Today is Friday the 13th, so I wanted to do the spooky makeup tag, which was created by Teresa's Dead and Tara Kruger here on YouTube. I love this because I love any tag or like makeup video that allows me to talk about makeup and my favorite fandoms, and I love horror, in case you haven't noticed about like, you know, any part of me here on the interwebs. Anyway, this is just gonna be me talking about all of the horror and the makeup stuffs that I like, so let's just get into it. What is your favorite scary movie?
Oh, just some scary movie.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
It's Scream. Pretty obvious. I'm a huge fan of Scream. I love slasher films, but that one is probably my favorite. It's just an all-around like good horror movie for me to watch, if that makes kind of like sense. I think it manages to be fun and witty while also being interesting and engaging, and I really like that. I also love Skeet Ulrich playing Billy, essentially because I love him in Riverdale and also The Craft, and I just enjoy him as an actor. But I really like that film. Honorable mentions include Get Out, Midsummer, The Perfection. The Perfection is also very close. Why did I have a lighting change? Hello, spooky season. But yeah, I think that's probably about the realm of my favorite horror movies that I can think of. I'm probably gonna like think of more later, but here we are. What's your favorite horror makeup collaboration? My favorite one that I've seen was the Strobe Cosmetics and American Horror Story palettes. I've talked about this in my geeky makeup tag video, but I absolutely love the quality of these palettes, especially like the Hotel. They're all shimmers here, but this was like back before Strobe Cosmetics made it really big, and I really do love American Horror Story, or at least I did like Hotel and before. This one came with the two palettes, Freak Show and Hotel, so like the two seasons where it kind of started to go downhill, but not quite enough for me to stop watching it. But these really are good quality, and I wish they would bring them back, but I know like copyright exists, so they probably wouldn't be able to. But I really do enjoy these, and even today, when I kind of want like a nice little pop of shimmer, I really just like kind of pull these out. I kind of wish Strobe Cosmetics would bring back more, like if they could bring these back in singles, that would be really nice. What is your dream horror makeup collaboration? I think something that would be really pretty would be to do a collaboration with Anastasia Beverly Hills and Midsommar. Watching Midsommar was one of the most aesthetically pleasing horror films I've seen in a very long time. I think Ari Aster is a genius when it comes to just like the cinematography. The tones of that film are very distinctive, and I would love to see Anastasia Beverly Hills, not that they ever would, but I would love for them to come out with like a collaboration of Midsommar with like a lot of really beautiful like florals and pastels and bright but light colors, some glowy highlighters, maybe like a dewy something, dewy skin tint, I don't know. But something like that I think could be really cool, because I do trust Anastasia Beverly Hills to do something right. I don't want anything to go particularly wrong when it comes to a movie I like as much as I like Midsommar. Favorite spooky YouTuber? Well, of course I must shout out one of my friends, Lacey of Spooky Lips and Fat Hips. She is a delight. I've also been watching a few horror channels that I really like. I love Spooky Astronauts. Emma is amazing and her videos are addictive. I also love Girly Gore and Possessed by Horror. I just really enjoy all of their videos, and I think that they have good analysis when it comes to horror films. And generally when I watch them too, if there's like a movie that I haven't seen but I want to, their reviews kind of push me into seeing it, or out of seeing it, depending upon how the reviews go. Horror character whose makeup you admire. I have to go with Art the Clown from Terrifier, because let's be honest, that movie is very much like a B movie, I think, in a lot of ways. Like, I don't think it's bad. I think it's one of those that's supposed to be like intentionally like kind of crappy, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it like it's a fun horror film, if that makes sense. Very gory, but very fun. And I love Art the Clown's makeup just because it manages to have the right level of like spooky scariness without the overdoneness. Well, I don't want to say that Pennywise is overdone, because I love the new It films. I'm going to see part 2 tonight. It's one of those where you can clearly see that that is you know, kind of CGI, but it's kind of like you can know that he's a supernatural character because you know he couldn't have done that makeup himself. Whereas when I look at Art the Clown and I look at his character design and his makeup, the way it looks is very, very creepy and very well done for a horror character, but it also looks like something that your average person could put on as a scary clown costume, essentially. Like the bald cap that you can kind of see the lines of, the white makeup that you can see is a little bit patchy in some places, a little bit darker, you know, a little bit more full coverage in others. And I really like that because it adds to the gritty aspects of the character, and it makes it feel a little bit more gritty and realistic. Where did your love for horror start? This is a really interesting question because honestly, I didn't get into horror until college, even just like a couple years ago when I started seminary. Probably a little bit before seminary, but not too far, because when I was growing up, horror movies were like never something I was allowed to watch. That was just not a part of my family house stuff. My parents are not horror fans. I remember I did see The Woman in Black with my dad at the Dollar Theater when I was like maybe 15 because my mom recommended it because like she thought I might like it, but I didn't enjoy it that much. I didn't feel freaked out by it. But I have always been interested in like the creepy stuff. I've always loved Tim Burton. I saw Coraline when I was in like 7th or 8th grade. Whenever that came out, I saw it with a few friends. My mom took us to see it. And I really loved that sort of stuff as a kid, and I've always been a huge Halloween person, but I never really got to explore that love for horror for a really long time, and then basically I just kind of like, I think it was just between like Netflix and also Case is a huge horror fan, and so they were kind of able to help me find stuff that I really, really enjoyed. Like our relationship really helped that, like we're going out tonight to see It Chapter 2 because I need to see that desperately. And they were able to kind of help me find horror movies that I'm really interested in. Plus, it always helps to have a significant other with you when you're watching horror films, just in case you get a little too scared. But honestly, not to brag or to be like one of those people, but I do actually have a pretty high tolerance for... So I don't think horror was as scary of a genre as like my parents had made it out to be when I was a kid, because I really love it now. What is your favorite horror franchise? Now this and the next question are kind of fraught for me because I don't care that much for horror franchises. I usually just end up liking the first movie and then not caring that much for the rest of them. I don't really care for the Scream sequels, Nightmare on Elm Street really, Friday the 13th. The only one that I can say I like the original and at least like one of the other ones that I like enough to say that I like multiple films in a franchise is a Halloween franchise. I did enjoy the original one, and I saw last year around Halloween, I went to see the remake, and I thought that was fantastic and really well done. So I guess that's probably my favorite like franchise, but I generally tend to kind of like watch the first movie in a series and then not watch that many of the rest of them. But since I do want to give like a good-ish answer to that question, I'm gonna go with like horror directors who I will see like all of their films. And I would have to go number 1, Jordan Peele, because I absolutely loved Get Out, and then I went to see Us in February, and I just love everything that he does. And I've also really been enjoying Ari Aster's films. I saw Midsummer, and then I decided to watch Hereditary. I feel like I should have liked Hereditary a bit more than I did, but like I also just like watched it on streaming as opposed to in the theater, and I think I probably would have enjoyed it more in the theater, if that makes sense. So I will consider those franchises in that they're done by the same director and have similar-ish styles, so I enjoy that. That's gonna be my way of saying it because I don't like horror franchises that much. What is your least favorite horror franchise? Now this one I can answer, and it's the Annabelle franchise, and I feel bad for saying this because that's one of Case's favorite franchises, and we've gone and seen all the movies, and I really did enjoy The Conjuring and like maybe one of the earlier Annabelle films, but at this point, like, we went to see Annabelle Comes Home this summer, and I did not enjoy it. I wanted to, but it just really wasn't my cup of tea. And that's just generally, again, this is a general problem I have with horror franchises. This is just one of the ones that I've actually seen through. Sorry, Case. What is your favorite horror death? My favorite horror death comes from Midsummer, And it's not actually the ending scene where she like burns her boyfriend and all his friends. Spoilers ahead. I already spoiled it once. But the scene of the suicides of the elders in the community, where the woman jumped and then the man jumped and you just saw the gore and everything up close, and it was just such a jolt and so very shocking, and the way the music was and the characters' reactions. I saw that film at like a late night 11 o'clock showing by myself in the theater. Like, there were maybe 5 other people there, and it was just such an experience, especially when the second person didn't die, so they had to take the gigantic mallet and like bash his brains in, and they showed all of that. I'm not one necessarily for like excessive amounts of gore in horror. I can kind of take it or leave it. But I think that the way Ari Aster does gore, especially in Midsommar, is done in a very beautiful and haunting way. I'm not gonna say that gore is beautiful, so I'm not like saying that in like a glorifying of it way, but I'm saying that he does it in a way that isn't like gratuitous, like Saw Terrifier level, but it was done in a way that jolts you, scares you, grosses you out, but you also can't look away for the life of you. And I've never quite seen anything like it. So that's a long way of saying the suicides in Midsommar. Horror recommendations. Okay, so I don't know if I necessarily have any that are particularly niche, because I think I'm probably a little bit more into mainstream horror, just because that's a bit easier for me to find and vet before watching. But I will say that if you haven't watched The Perfection yet and you've been on the fence about watching it, you really should, just because it kind of fulfills my whole like sapphic revenge horror psychological thriller needs. If you're a gay and you would like to see yourself like vaguely represented in a horror film with like a not necessarily bad ending for you, then I would really recommend watching that. So anyway, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my spooky makeup tag. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe down below if you want to see more videos from me. And I'll see you on my next one. Hope you'll have a wonderful day. Bye!